Protesters reacting tonight after one officer was charged in the Breonna Taylor case, and not for her death. How people in the mid-state are reacting.
And meantime, things are getting tense in Louisville right now. This is a live look there as demonstrators have taken to the streets. We're going to check back in with this live shot in just minutes.
I could feel in my heart, my soul, that they were alive. I didn't feel them gone.
8 years searching for her children. Tonight, a mother makes her plea for answers.
News 4 Nashville starts now.
And good evening.
Breaking news alert.
We begin with that breaking news tonight here on News 4. Thank you for joining us both on air and on our News 4 app. The big story tonight, a grand jury's decision regarding the officers involved in the Breonna Taylor case in Louisville.
So we want to get you caught up to speed right now. A grand jury has charged this is Officer Brett Hackison, with 3 felony counts of wanton endangerment. So he is one of the 3 officers who fired shots the night Breonna Taylor was killed. You may recall officers executed a no-knock warrant on her apartment.
Now, her boyfriend was in there too. He thought the police were intruders and opened fire on the officers. They fired back, killing Taylor. The Attorney General and spokesman for the Taylor family, the lawyer there, spoke after the announcement.
I know that not everyone will be satisfied with the charges we've reported today.
We are not satisfied by the announcement made today. We're going to continue to fight for justice and take this fight right to the Attorney General's office.
Now, this is important. The charges against Officer Hackison are not for shooting Taylor, but for firing recklessly into several apartments, putting the neighbors there also at risk. And that decision is sparking a reaction in our region tonight as well. The group behind the months-long protest, you may remember, on Legislative Plaza, where they are organizing a protest on Nashville streets tonight in regards to the Breonna Taylor case. News 4's Cameron Taylor is live in East Nashville, where those protesters are meeting right now. Hi, Cameron.
Hey, Brittany, we're right in front of the East Nashville Library. Protesters just started showing up. We're right off Gallatin Avenue right now, and this protest is all in response to the grand jury's decision in the Breonna Taylor case. Now, the plan is for them to march the streets of East Nashville any minute. From there, a couple hours later, they're going to march from here to Lower Broadway. We've seen that happen before after the death of George Floyd. They say the system failed Breonna Taylor earlier this year, and it continues to do so tonight. That's why they say they're out here this evening to promote that message. Brittany, Tracy.
All right, Cameron, thank you. And meantime, demonstrators are taking to the streets in Louisville tonight. We've been watching this scene unfold. They are upset over the grand jury's decision.
And we want to go live out right now to Louisville. That is where we find Daryl Forges for us tonight. Good evening, Daryl. So obviously we have checked in with those live shots. We see a lot of action taking place, and we've seen some confrontations tonight. So just talk to me about what you're seeing around you right now.
Yeah, that's right, ladies. We've seen some confrontation back and forth. I mean, think about this. For the past 6 months, people here in Louisville, Kentucky have been demanding for justice for Breonna Taylor and wanting all 3 of those officers charged with her death. And it appears that's not going to happen. And a lot of people are still upset about it as we speak. I want to get out the way and show you right now what we're seeing here. Where we're at right now, we're here on Jefferson Square here in downtown Louisville, and you can just see the protesters, all the protesters here. Now, they were trying to actually leave this part of the area, march, but at this point, law enforcement has the protesters blocked off just to this area. They're not allowing them to leave anywhere outside of the square at this point, out of concerns for what could become of later on tonight, possibly maybe some riots and some looting, and police are trying to do the best they can to avoid that. And also, we know that the National Guard has also been called out here as well. So there is a curfew at around 9 o'clock tonight. So the biggest thing right now is people are still expressing their frustrations. Earlier when the decision was made and announced, there are people here on the ground, on their knees, just crying and screaming, why is this happening? So as you can imagine right now, ladies, people at this point are still up in the air and they still want justice.
Daryl, we've been looking at some video of a guy without a shirt on being taken away, police in riot gear. We know the shops have boarded up their windows. What else is the city doing in response to this unrest tonight?
Well, for the past few days, they have been boarding up buildings like the one right here behind me. This is, of course, now we see there's some piece of clothing on fire there, excuse me. Of course, the buildings were boarded up, and they've also have some city trucks as well as some borders blocking off traffic as well. So they've been preparing for this announcement for the past few days just to get ready for just in case protesters do end up doing anything. So at this point, they've been doing the best they can to get ready for that. Also, businesses also boarded up their buildings downtown. And again, they've listed a state of emergency for this area for a curfew for 9 o'clock, as well as making sure these businesses and buildings are protected for what we potentially could see later on tonight.
All right, Daryl, thank you so much. Stay safe out there. We appreciate your coverage there on the ground there in Louisville, Kentucky. And stay with News 4 for continuing coverage of the Breonna Taylor case. We will have more coverage in our next half hour. Of course, you can count on us and also find full coverage on our News 4 app.
Right now, state officials say virtual learning is not working for many Tennessee students. State officials say there has been a 50% drop in third grade level reading ability, a 65% drop in third grade math ability, and the summer slide was 2.5 times worse than usual. State officials say making up the lost ground may take more than a school year.
The wife of fallen Brentwood officer Destin Legeza is now suing the owners of a Franklin bar. She says the employees at that bar overserved the driver who hit and killed her husband back in June. News 4's Carly Gordon has obtained a copy of that lawsuit and has a reaction from the bar owners tonight.
The driver who hit Legeza is Ashley Croce, and before that crash, she was here at the legendary Kimbrough's Pick-and Parlor, and it's this bar that's now facing a lawsuit tonight. The lawsuit claims an employee at Kimbrough's Pick-and Parlor served Ashley Croce knowing she had consumed alcohol earlier in the evening. And the suit says that employee continued serving her alcohol even though she was visibly drunk, knowing that Croce's car was nearby. She later crashed into Officer Destin Legeza, who died. And police say a blood alcohol test revealed Croce's alcohol level was more than twice the legal limit. Legeza's wife is now suing the bar for $7 million in damages. We spoke to the wife of the bar owner. They sent us this statement saying, "When I learned that Brentwood police officer Destin Legeza was killed in a car crash with a young lady that had visited my establishment hours prior, my heart sank. I grieve the loss for Officer Legeza's family, the Brentwood Police Department family, and the community. The young lady involved in the accident left my establishment several hours before the accident after ordering 2 waters, 2 bags of chips, and 1 beer. My establishment is named as the sole defendant in a civil lawsuit brought by Officer Legeza's widow, which I view as an attempt to piece together what happened in the hours before the accident. While I don't know the answer to that question, I hope Mrs. Legeza uncovers the truth and finds peace." Meanwhile, we've also reached out to Legeza's attorney, who tells us it's too early for them to comment at this point. Carly Gordon, News 4 Nashville.
Today marks 8 years since a story so huge it changed a community and left a family desperately searching for answers. Now, a mother sits down with News 4's Forrest Sanders to remember September 23rd, 2012. She hopes by speaking, the answers will finally come.
Memories, I treasure what I have.
You can't put a value on little pictures from Mom Cheryl Daniel. A few are especially close to her heart, like this one of her mom and stepdad, Molly and Bubba McLaren. And of course, these school pictures of her children, Chloe Leverett and Gage Daniel.
Those country, just little country kids.
Those are pictures taken while Chloe and Gage were living with their grandparents, the McLarens, here in Unionville.
I love it. I love living down there. It's peaceful, quiet, just country folk, just really good people.
And in this place that always felt so safe to Cheryl came the night of September 23rd, 2012. By the next day, the news coverage was happening. A huge fire burned the McLaren's Kingdom Road home to the ground, with sheriff's officials at first believing Bubba, Molly, Chloe, and Gage were all inside.
I kept telling my family, they're not dead. I feel them. I can feel my babies. I could feel in my heart, my soul, that they were alive. I didn't feel them gone.
Then came word from investigators. Remains were found in the house of Bubba and Molly, a dog and a pet bird, but not Chloe and Gage.
That's when they put the Amber Alerts out. Honestly, I believe that someone went in and killed my parents, because I know they had to kill them before they got Chloe and Gage. because I know they would have died trying to save them.
With the Amber Alert, Cheryl thought she'd have her children soon. But as she sits here now, it's been 2,922 days since that night. The case of the fire and her parents' deaths unsolved. Her children still missing.
You know, the longer it gets, the more heartbreaking it is. People say time heals. It doesn't heal. It pacifies, but it doesn't heal.
Today, the mom who treasures pictures so much has 2 new ones. Age progression pictures just released by TBI of Chloe at 17 and Gage at 15.
Age progressive are like my school pictures now. You know, it's heartbreaking because I'm having to look at missing children pictures.
For Cheryl, it doesn't matter how many more days it takes. She says she waits for when a true new picture can be taken here in this place she loves with Chloe and Gage.
And I just pray for one day that I'll have them, that they'll come home.
I'm Boris Sanders, News 4 Nashville.
We certainly hope so. Stay with us. People from the mid-state and around the country are heading to the nation's capital for a weekend of prayer. Hear from some of those making the trip about what they're most hopeful for.
Well, it is arriving now. That is the moisture from what's left of Beta moving across Middle Tennessee. I'll show you which areas are likely to see the most rain and how long it's going to last coming up with a forewarned forecast.
And we are continuing to monitor Louisville, Kentucky right now after the announcement that one officer would be charged in the Breonna Taylor case. So this is another live look right here. So as we've been looking at this shot just over the last couple of minutes, things have seemed to stay peaceful in this area. Obviously, there's chanting, as you can hear in the background. That's a Louisville reporter right there getting ready to talk about the scene. Now, of course, we're continuing to monitor any developments as we did see some clashes between protesters and police earlier on this evening. There is a curfew of 9 p.m. We will keep an eye on this both on air and through our News 4 app. We'll be right back.
I want to take you out live to East Nashville. We continue to follow breaking news, the protest over a grand jury's decision to charge one officer in the Breonna Taylor case. It is beginning here in Nashville. We're hearing singing and chanting right now, certainly peaceful and upbeat at this moment, but this group plans to march on to Broadway shortly. So again, we'll be following them from East Nashville to downtown and monitoring all the developments live on air and of course on our News 4 app.
Christians from all around the nation will gather this Saturday in Washington. They'll be participating in a prayer march led by evangelist Franklin Graham. He's the son of late Billy Graham, one of the most influential Christian leaders of our time. Our Justin Beasley caught up with some Christians here in the Mid-State who didn't think twice about making that nearly 700-mile trip up to Washington, D.C. for Saturday's prayer march.
Well, praying is such a powerful tool for those in the Christian faith. And when you can join with other believers in prayer, the belief is the Lord will respond to his people and bring about the necessary change. That is why so many from within the church around the country will join together this Saturday at noon at the nation's capital and make their requests known to God.
I think that it's important to make sure that we're praying not only for our leaders, but also for the country itself and for all those. We feel like that we were put in place here for a reason. And that it's such a time as this that we're supposed to be doing what we're doing.
It's from 12 to 2 on Saturday, and we start at the Lincoln Memorial, and we walk to the U.S. Capitol, and there are 7 stops, and at each stop we will stop and pray for our country. And so we'll pray for our government, we'll pray for our leaders, we will pray for compassion and kindness. There are several people from World Outreach that are going. I'm one of them.
And it's important to know this event is not a protest, but dedicated specifically to prayer.
Prayers of repentance, prayers specifically for our leaders, prayers specifically for our country, praying for people to turn back to God.
We want to be a part of God's purposes on this earth. We want to be a part of God's people praying for this country, because we believe that we're at a turning point in this country, and that if we don't turn back to God and we don't repent for the things that we've done, this could go bad for us.
For News 4, I'm Justin Beasley.
We want to head outside now where things have been looking pretty dreary all day. This is Drone 4 video. You see the slick roads out there. Downtown area of Kingston Springs, which is such a beautiful town, must say. Rural and close to the Harpeth River, and lovely to spend some fall days here. Lisa Spencer, tell us what's ahead tonight.
Now, your forewarned weather, certified Nashville's most accurate.
Tracy, we are looking at more rain for parts of the mid-state. And of course, right now it is rather gloomy, a little cloudy out there, and cool fall weather has definitely arrived. So we've got the combination of the two. And I tell you, this rain is going to continue to spread across a lot of the mid-state. So I want you to take your umbrella with you anytime you've got to head out the door. But keep in mind, it's going to be folks there across the south that are going to get the real soaking from all this moisture. Just a little bit of rain is going to be across the north, namely north of I-40. So that's why we find this flood watch right here focused on the southeast corner of Middle Tennessee. So that means you in Shelbyville, Manchester, Altamont, all the way down to Fayetteville and back to Pulaski. What we're talking about here is several inches of rain as we go through Friday morning. Right now, looking outside, there's a nip in the air. It is 65 degrees, only reaching 69 for afternoon high today. A south wind right around 3 miles per hour. 66 is the latest coming in from Clarksville as well as Murfreesboro, and 59 degrees right now in Lewisburg, 61 also in Lawrenceburg. You've got some rain in Lawrenceburg right now, and also to Manchester and a bit over here in Jamestown. Nashville is dry, Clarksville dry up to Franklin, Kentucky. More showers off to the west here along the Mississippi River, the Tennessee River as well. So plenty of wet weather here, and I expect it's going to be spreading a little farther to the north as we go throughout the evening, but really concentrated here to the south because that's where we're looking for that potential of some flooding taking place. You can see it here. We pull out. Look at all the steady flow of moisture. A couple of things happening. We've got an upper level disturbance that's going to be combining with all this moisture from Beta coming in. And that's the reason for the increased chance in rain that we'll see for tonight and also tomorrow. A look at our forecast for tomorrow morning. We've got 50s, upper 50s, and showers starting to spread across a lot of Middle Tennessee. But notice again, it's right here to the south where it's concentrated the most throughout the day. It's going to be a cooler day too, in the mid 60s for the afternoon high. Continuing to see all that wet weather march right there across the south, and more showers coming in early on Friday, and then that will start to move on out of the way. Before all is said and done, this is the area we will see the most significant, maybe 2, even 3 inches of rain in some of those locations. Hey, this is Duncan on our dog walking forecast, and you guys love this picture.
I love this.
Duncan looks like he's doing a pinup pose there or something, but we'll look at 60s tonight for Duncan with temperatures there. Certainly looking to be in the 60s, so it's going to be jacket weather if you're out walking your dog. We've got the showers for tomorrow, 67 degrees, and then just isolated showers on Friday. Saturday and Sunday will be drier. We'll see low to mid 80s for afternoon highs, and then another chance of spotty showers with a front coming in on Tuesday that will, look at that, cool us down again.
Duncan just fully taking in that great weather out there, Lisa. Yeah. Thanks so much. All right, the hotel industry says it's in need of help, or many hotels will have to close their doors very soon. We're going to tell you which ones say they'll only last 6 months if they don't get help soon.
And we are keeping a close eye in Louisville, Kentucky, monitoring the scene there as protesters gather. So far, peaceful, though, after the announcement that one officer would be charged in the Breonna Taylor case. We do know that Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear has authorized a limited deployment of the National Guard. You're looking at hundreds of demonstrators, at least parts of those hundreds, gathering to protest the grand jury's decision today. We'll be right back.
New at 6 artists are now the lucky recipients of 3 nominations for the CMT Music Awards. We're talking about Ashley McBryde, Dan and Shay, Kelsey Ballerini, Luke Combs, Sam Hunt, and Thomas Rhett. The nominations were just announced earlier today. The Chicks are also on the list of nominees. This is their first time since 2007. Exciting to see them back. It's for their video Gaslighter. They were nominated for Video of the Year. Tanya Tucker, we're seeing her pop up. She's also nominated in that category for Bring My Flowers Now. The show will air on October 21st and include many outdoor performances.
Oh, exciting stuff. Well, new tonight, the vast majority of hotel owners say they are going to have to lay off more people if they don't get some help from the government soon. We're talking about 74% of hotels here. An industry group surveyed hotel owners and operators earlier this month. Just 68% say they have less than half of their usual staff still on the job. Half said they're facing possible foreclosure thanks to the pandemic's economic impact. And 67% say they will only last 6 more months if they don't get financial relief. We continue to follow breaking news in Louisville, Kentucky, and here in Nashville. This is East Nashville right now, where a protest over the grand jury's decision to charge one officer in the Breonna Taylor case has been underway here over the last hour or so. We have been following it. Our Cameron Taylor on the scene will bring you live reports here throughout the evening. But we do know that protesters will be going from this spot in front of the library there in East Nashville, and they plan to march into downtown on Broadway. Again, all developments will keep following here on air and on the News 4 app.
We continue to celebrate classroom heroes tonight, making a difference in all of our children's lives. This is Mrs. Elliott. She actually just took the reins as principal last year after working as a special education teacher. So a big responsibility, and it sounds like she's doing very well. So thank you for all you do. News 4 and Bart Durham Injury Law want to honor your classroom heroes, whether they're bus drivers, teachers, custodians. We want to meet them. Send us their picture right now on our News 4 app.
And still ahead, Breonna Taylor sparking protests across the nation. The reaction to that case today. We're going to take you on the ground in the center of it all in Louisville, where it's already becoming dangerous enough to remove reporters